Hello, hello, my friends. I hope y'all are doing well today. Today, I'm here with Ginge. Ginge is here in my lap. And we are all here gathered for a Kirby session. I am kind of can't stop thinking about Kirby. Okay, I can't stop thinking about Kirby. I really want to play more Kirby Air Riders, but it's not available to play right now, which is quite sad. So I thought today we would learn more about Kirby. Classes in session. There's like a couple Kirby lore videos that I would like to watch, and like a discussion about the original City Trials that I would like to check out together. That I just think it would be fun and relaxing. Yeah. Oh, we gotta talk about... Do we have to talk about the Mario movie trailer? This is what I have to say about the Mario movie trailer. I haven't seen it. Because I haven't seen it. And we can't watch it either, because it's gonna get copyright claimed on site. That's why. That's why. Ginge is here. Last time there was anything Mario movie in like a direct, it got instantly copyright claimed. I think, you know what it was? It was the Mario Galaxy reveal, which, keep in mind, was like 2 seconds long. It was literally like 2 seconds long, and they were like, this has gotta go. Like the whole rest of the direct. Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what direct did they actually end up revealing it in? It was some other Nintendo direct that they ended up revealing it. I cannot recall. But who do we have here today? We have Aaron here. Hello, hello. We have Zach. What's going on? We have J Epic. Hope you guys are doing well. I haven't seen this video. Well, quite interesting. About a Kirby Air Ride secret hidden for 20 years in plain sight. What a title. What a title. I'm intrigued, and I want us to check it out together. So we're gonna start off with that. Let me get this all nicely laid out. I don't remember exactly how we did it last time. I think I did it in like theater mode. I really liked how we did it last time. I thought it was nice. Remind me to turn off the music, by the way, when we start playing it. We're gonna assume that's good. Hey, what's going on, HD? I hope we're doing well. Did they change the logo? Or what? Or what? I'm not sure. Alright, let's turn off this music. And let's check out this video.
I did not want to do this, but Sakurai himself has forced me to make this YouTube video by announcing a Kirby Air Riders Direct that's happening in less than 24 hours. Kirby
Let me
games
know
of
if
the
you can hear
past
it.
all have details you can easily miss if you aren't paying attention. Like how the theme park in Kirby in the Forgotten Land seems to be HAL Laboratory themed, with its mascots being egg dogs, a nod to their logo, along with the bonus appearance
I love
UFOs.
the HAL Laboratory logo. Can we talk about the HAL Laboratory logo? It's so freaking cute. The dog is sitting the eggs in the nest. Oh, it's freaking adorable. Oh, it's so precious. Okay, you can hear it. That's good. Yeah, no, I was just saying earlier about the Galaxy movie trailer. I haven't seen it, and I'm not going to be watching it on stream because it's going to get instant copyright claimed.
A HAL Labs staple. Or how in Kirby's Adventure for the NES, Kirby not only turns a slightly different color when you gain a copy ability, but if you look very closely, he gets a little pudgier too. That's what worries me. Because that small detail was pointed out by Sakurai himself in one of his YouTube videos. If he's willing to get that detailed in a 3-minute long YouTube video, there's a non-zero
He
chance
gets a little
he
plump.
spoils a discovery
That's
I made
cute.
in the original Kirby Air Ride during a full-blown 45-minute long Kirby Air Riders Nintendo Direct. So let
Hey Void, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Why the stream time change? I'm just testing out changing the stream for later for this week, and I'll make a decision and see how next week is going to go. But for this week, we're going to be streaming around this time for the remainder of the week. But I know it's a little bit different. Yeah. Yeah, no, How Labs is still around.
Let me spoil it myself. You see, while researching a much bigger project where I am required to play through every Kirby game for lore research...
That's so
me
cool.
If you want to see that, by the way.
I
it
love
has
that.
become abundantly clear, many, but not all, of Kirby's villains are extensions of his original...
I would love to do something like that. Like, I've always wanted to be like, oh, I can play every single game in a series, so then you can, like, see the full breadth of the series. I think that would be so fun. I remember maybe like a year ago, there was a video that came out where somebody had done that with Sonic games, and I loved that video. I thought that was such a great video. They did the whole, like, oh, I had to do it in 48 hours or something ridiculous. I wouldn't do that. I don't think I care about my health to some degree, and that does not sound like a great idea. But I love this, like, you know, you're gonna see the full breadth of something.
Original bad guys' designs. I don't necessarily mean there's like a direct lore connection between these characters, so, you know, don't misunderstand me and come after me. But there's almost always a Wispy Woods. There's almost always an eyeball monster. There's almost always a King DDD. There's almost always a hands guy. There's
Buff
sometimes
King DDD.
even a Kirby. These are all really important to remember because I don't think it's unreasonable to say the original Kirby Air Ride was not a fully fleshed out game. Sakurai covered this in one of his YouTube videos, where he said development of the original Kirby Air Ride wasn't going so hot, and then he had to step in and finish the game in only 3.5 months. That's wild.
You're a Sonic fan, but you feel bad for the man who has to play every Sonic game. Honestly, Bread, that's kind of accurate, I would say. I'm a fake Sonic fan, okay? I like Sonic, but I'm a fake Sonic fan. I really am. Some of them I don't know. Yeah.
He said the assets made in the year before were mostly there, but that there really wasn't a game. So can we learn something from the existing assets about the before times that are still in the game itself? I think so. The reason I brought up bosses was because Kirby Air Ride doesn't really have a main boss. Doesn't really have a plot.
We've seen
You
these
could argue,
guys.
like, the
little
side game
broom
doesn't really
guys.
need all that. But the thing is, other Kirby side games absolutely have bosses and plots, even if they're simple ones. Which brings me to my discovery. Back in 2023, while replaying the original Kirby Air Ride for research, I found this.
See, I love stuff like this. I am obsessed.
Three-eyed thing.
What is this three-eyed thing?
Bro, what's the scary three-eyed thing? Face?
This is how I feel about graffiti in Splatoon 2. Like, I look at the...
It's Krakow.
No, it's not Krakow.
Cool. This is fun.
Ancient scribbles on a wall found in the Sky Sands racetrack. A blink and you'll miss it texture. What does it look like to you? Looks like another eyeball monster to me. You could say it's a Krakow, which, you know, yeah, I kind of agree. But Krakow is also in the original Kirby Air Ride already. And this guy has 3 eyes. 3 eyes and
different.
spindly arms. Shows up more than once, too.
Oh, here's that thing again.
3 times to my knowledge. And to add to the mystery, one of the drawings has a blob portally thing on it. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, this portal thing is interesting to me. It reminds me of, like, the portals that we see in City Trials in Kirby Air Raiders. We saw that. I'm not sure. I don't know. Do we think that this is gonna be in the story mode? I did see that there's a story mode. I missed the Kirby Air Raiders second direct, but when I was looking for B-roll for the video that I put out today, I saw that there is going to be a story mode in Kirby Air Raiders, and I was like, oh my god, it looks so freaking good! Oh, it looks so good. But who knows? Maybe this will be one of the bosses in there. I don't know. What do you guys think?
These textures, to my knowledge, at least last time I checked 2 years ago, were not brought up in any Kirby wiki. They were not brought up in any Kirby lore video. These specific textures, outside of being ripped and uploaded to Spriter's resource, along with everything else in the game, have largely gone undiscovered by the greater Kirby community. The mystery doesn't stop there. In a later racing stage, Machine Passage, if you once again slow down and pay attention, at least, you know, a little bit, you'll notice something else.
What the heck? Is this the three-eyed creature?
Apparently it's in the game.
Bro, what? Is there ongoing Kirby air ride lore? What
It's just-
the heck?
Like, is this a
It's
track?
more alive and scarier.
I guess it's a
Three
track.
eyeballed monster
Yeah, it's a
specimens
track.
being contained in vats or big jars or something.
I wonder what the track is.
Still, not your typical Krakow. Is this a dropped, ongoing Kirby air ride storyline between two separate levels?
I feel like
I
the
mean, you could say
context
this is
of the map.
Simply set dressing for no
important.
reason whatsoever. It could be two completely unrelated nothings. One being an ancient Krakow, which we learn exists in Robobot, and one just being a scary thing in the background just to be there. But Krakow didn't have spindly arms and 3 eyes. Robobot came out way after. There are other examples of background details being very intentional, like the Dynabird skeletons and eggs. And multiple
There's a
bespoke instances
Dynabird?
I've never before seen.
Wait, that was a Dynabird egg? Oh, that's so cool. I'm already learning. You guys remember when we played City Trials and that cool bird came down and we had to fight him? Oh, I think that's so awesome. Also, hi Bailey. I hope we're doing well today. We also have Noel here. And Nick, what's going on? If you guys are doing well. Kirby Cosmic Horror lore intensifies.
3 eyeballed Krakow variants with no obvious
Kirby's so
purpose
cute,
and
but
2
their
separate
lore
levels
is so intriguing.
still makes me raise an eyebrow. I have a theory that Kirby Air Riders, the new one, is Sakurai wanting to go back and make the full Kirby Air Ride experience that the team wasn't able to finish the first time around.
The Dynabird.
Not being a fleshed out game has always
You guys
been
know
one of the main
Dynabird?
criticisms you hear about the original. So I think that full experience will include a plot and a boss. You know, even if it's still relatively simple. I'm not saying the scary Krakow creature is guaranteed to be in the game, but it is weird. And if there's any signs of intent to have a bigger bad left over in the original game, I think this might be it. Regardless, it is a discovery worth pointing out because
I actually saw a video that I thought about trying to watch, and then I saw the timestamp for it. It was a Kirby Iceberg video that was 4 hours and 50 minutes long. And you know what's even sadder is that video only had like 350K. I'm sorry, but that's just not enough for that amount of work. It was like over like 8 years, by the way. That is just not enough. That's so sad. That's so sad. Like I feel like gaming content is like having a hard time on YouTube, but maybe one day we'll watch it. I was just like, I can't commit to that right now. That is too much.
because it has gone unnoticed by the gaming community at large for over 2 decades.
Yeah, this is cool.
I love a good video game mystery.
I don't know.
Speaking of which, I have a lore library Patreon where me and him
Maybe it will. Oh, look at Kirby. I love Kirby so much. Here, hold on. Let me get up the Dynabird so you guys can know what I'm talking about. Dynabird. Or I guess it's called Dynablade, but it's a bird. Let's see. This is them. The Dynabird. We saw them when we were playing City Trials. They're pretty cool. I'm a fan. I like them. Yeah, go check out this creator if you're interested. Apparently they're playing through every single Kirby game, which I think is really, really awesome. So go check them out if you're interested. I enjoyed it. We also have a video by Sakurai themselves talking about Kirby Air Ride. This was actually put out 2 years ago, so it'll be interesting to see what they say now. It's a girl with a bird.
2001年10月、星のカービィがアニメになりました。これはスマブラデラックス発売。
Wait, what did they say?
2001年10
In
月、
2001,
星のカービ
the
ィがアニ
Kirby
メになりまし
anime.
た。これはスマブラデラックス発売よりちょっと前ですね。
That's insane looking.
この当時私はカービィシリーズの
So if you guys don't know,
統括ディレクター
this is actually the creator of Kirby, the creator of just Kirby and Kirby writers. So like you're hearing it straight from the mouth of the creator about it.
というものになり、アニメ監
And he
修
has a whole channel. He has a whole channel like where he talks about game design, where he talks about like how he thinks about games, how he designs games. It's like super cool, very interesting. Oh, Kirby Right Back at You was the title? Oh, you've seen that in WB Kids? I've never seen it before.
を含めたいろんな仕事をしていました。
Is it good?
スマブラデラックスの佳境と並行する時期もあり、まあ
Have you
大変で
finished
した。
Constance? What do you think about it? It was fun.
カービィのゲーム企画もいくつか動いていたのですが、その中にカービィのエアライドがあります。企画を考えたのはもちろん私です。まずゲームのコンセプトから。なぜカービィをレースゲームにするのかといえば、アニメカービィを制作するにあたり、ゲームの製品群も必要であり、一つの正当
Oh,
ア
it
ク
was
ションゲー
made
ムを
to
作るよりも
coincide with
時
the
間が
anime.
かからないと判断したからです。正当シリーズは夢の泉の物語のパワーアップ移植である。
Meta Knight has a Spanish accent? What? That's so funny.
夢の泉デラック
That's
ス。
awesome.
別会社で作っていた
They were inspired by
鏡の大
Zorro, I
名機
feel.
ゲームキューブ版のカービィを予定していました。ゲームキューブ版は、その後残念ながら発売中止になっています。
Oh.
エアライドの
Kirby game
企画で
got
考えた
cancelled.
ゲーム性については以前お話をしたことがありますが、探すのも大変でしょうから改めて解説します。まずレースゲームを考えた際、ドリフトが楽しいと仮定しました。実際のレースではグリップ走行の方が断然速いと。
It is kind of all built around drifting. Like, drifting is the thing that you do in the game.
なぜ楽しいのかについ
It
ては
forces you to drift.
ここでもリスクとリターンがあると思いました。コントロールを
Which I think a lot of people are
ぶつかってはい
kinda
けない
like, oh my
壁が
gosh,
眼前に広がるスリル
overwhelmed.
それをうまく抜けた時の快感。ではそれをさらに楽しくするなら、単にドリフトが速くなるというだけでは今一つ。ドリフト開始のブレーキ操作と同時にチャージを行い、グッと食べてパッと解放することで、さらに楽しさを増すことができないかと考えました。また頂点を目指すゲームは
I think every
合わない
game
と思い
is
ます。
heavy on drifting, but Kirby Air Raiders kind of forces you to drift constantly just in its gameplay.
一ところに集約するのではなく、
In
むしろ
Mario Kart
広げる
and
方
other
向にデザ
racing
イン
games, it's like an option.
特にシティトラ
It's
イア
like
ル
if you want to be good, you drift.
箱庭世界を自由に走り回り、どう転ぶかわからないパワーアップとスタジアムを楽しむという、頂点を目指す遊びを広がる方向への遊びにするというのは大きなコンセプトです。
He's happy.
ちなみにここでクリアチェッカーというものを搭載しました。これは PS3 や Xbox で搭載される実績システムよりは前の登場となります。ある条件を満たすと
Oh, the music is too good.
隣り合ったマスのクリア条件が見られる。なんとなく遊ぶ者にも達成感を持たせようとして作ったものです。なおカービィのエアライドは64版で開発中止になったエアライドとは関係なく、ゲーム性も異な
There
って
was
い
an
ます。
N64 air
が
ride?
もしかしたらこうすればできそうかもという発想のもとにはなったかもしれません。なお64番はスノーボード風のゲーム性でした。私がカービィシリーズの統括ディレクターの仕事をしている時はいろんな仕事を後半に見ていましたが、人に任せるべきところはなるべく任せていたつもりです。ただエアライドについてはほぼ全てを直接的に見ていました。特にグラフィックやサウンドについては世界観とのマッチや狙いが必要ですから、事細かに監修進行しています。
The
しかし残
UFO.
念ながら肝心のゲーム企画自体がなかなか進まず、任せて1年以上経ったのにワープスター一つもろくに動いていないという状況になってしまいました。そこで
I had no idea
担
that there
当
was
プロ
so
グラマー
many
の直接的な要望も受け、
issues with developing that
私が
game.
本ディレクターに戻り全面作り直しになりました。
They had to rebuild this
そこ
game
から
from
仕様を切り
scratch.
直し3ヶ月半で完成したのが現在のカービィのエアライドです。とんでもない急ピッチですが、まずコースやマシンの素材などはだいぶできている状態ではありました。また肝心のスタッフがかなり食らいついてくれました。 それまでの開発で疲弊していたところもあるだろうけど、可能な限りを尽くしてくれたおかげで完成したのだ。
Honestly, this is making me think about just like the back end of game development is really something else. It's making me think about how like in Metroid, I wonder what on earth was going on. Because after all of this time, Metroid Prime is coming out in December, early December actually. And I think it's been in development for like over 7 years. And there's been like all of these issues. Apparently they had to start completely from scratch. And it's like, I'm so curious as to like what is going on. Yeah, like huge props for game developers. I think that like game developers get a lot of crap. They get so much crap because people love their games. They love games. I love games. But people have very high expectations. And it's like people want what they specifically want. And it's like game developers are people too. Like they're not going to be able to be like, how do you say like what is the word, like omniscient or whatever, when you're like aware of all? They're just not going to be aware of all. They're people. There's always going to be things. So I don't know. There's just high expectations. It's crazy. Yeah, 7 years. 7 years. Honestly, it's the same amount of time for Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World, I believe, was also in development for like 7 years. Omnipotent. Yeah. Omnipotent. I think that's how you say it. You wonder if it took too long? Because I had to scrap some stuff? After the Other M? From Other M? After... I've never even heard of Other M. Is that a Metroid game? Other M? I've never heard of that in my life. Oh, it's omniscient. You're okay, no worries. I appreciate you, Corp. You're good. We all understood. I hope that we're all on the same page. But yeah, there's just like super high expectations. And like game developers get dogged on so hard. And it's like, I think there's a difference between like dogging on like the corporation versus like the game devs. I feel like game devs just don't get enough appreciation at all.
だと思っています。ところで、製品版のエアライドマシンはそれぞれすごく個性的です。単に加速度が高いとか曲がりやすいという性能だけでは収まらず、仕様ごと異なるような。が、実はみんな同じ仕様です。スター型とバイク型という違いだけはありますが、それ以外の中身は単なるパラメーター違い。これは新しく組み上がったプログラムにおいて数値でできうる個性を振り切った結果です。使用書自体もそうですが、パラメーターは全て私が書いています。いつものことですけど。
Interesting.
仕上がったカービィのエアライドは現在も高い人気を誇ります。他ではまず見られないゲーム性が満載になっているし、客観的にも随一に、個性を放っていると思います。そして
Kirby music is too good.
エアライドが
Kirby music is too good. Kirby music has no business being as good as it is. Every single time I hear a new Kirby song, I'm like, chef's kiss. It's so good. Metroid Other M is a Wii game? No, I haven't heard about it. Is it good? Do people like it?
完成し、役目を終えた私は春研究所を出てフリーになります。企画も考えたし、ディレクターもしたから。
Wait, that was what caused him to go independent? That was the catalyst? He was like, I'm out of here. You guys could not do your job properly. I'm out. I gotta go. Is that really what the catalyst was?
とは私のディレクター作品ですが、近い時期に出た夢の泉デラックスや鏡の大迷宮はそうではありません。特に鏡の大迷宮は担当会社であったフラッグシップの力でできていると思います。まあもちろん監修はしましたけどね、それぞれ。というわけで、次の企画コンセプトのカテゴリーの話はメテオ、現在も高い人気を誇ります。他ではまず見られないゲーム性が満載になっているし、客観的にも 随一
Can't
の、
wait.
個性を放っていると
I can't wait to be able to put together the legendary rides. Oh, it's gonna be so fun.
そしてカービィのアニメが終わりエアライドが完成し役目を終えた私は春研究所を出てフリーになります。企画も考えたしディレクターもしたからエアライドは私のディレクター作品ですが近い時期に出た
The same isn't
夢の泉
true.
デラックスや鏡の大迷
Oh,
宮はそうではあ
okay.
りま
He's
せん
like, these are not my creative works. They're just like, they just happen to be Kirby games.
特に
Interesting. Well, thank you so much. We're excited. Aren't we excited to play Kirby Air Riders? Who all is excited for Kirby? Who's all excited for Kirby? Then we got this one, which is, where is the theater mode? Which is about bizarre spots in Kirby Air Ride City Trial. I'm wondering if we should watch this or if we should watch the lore video. Should we just hop into the lore video? I don't know. Like, do I want to get spoiled on this? Yeah, Sakura, thank you for being so cool. What do we think, guys? Should we watch this one? I haven't seen it yet. Or should we just hop into the lore video? Because, like, when I was putting this list together, you want to watch the lore? I was putting this list together, I was like, that'd be kind of cool to, like, see the details of Kirby Air Ride. But a part of me kind of wants to see if I can figure out how to play Kirby Air Ride. I might try to set that up soon. Let's all right, we'll watch the lore. We'll watch the lore. Theater mode. Why does the theater mode look like a stack of paper? Not like it looks like a stack of dollar bills. This looks like a stack of dollar bills. Like, this is what the thanks symbol used to look like. Whatever happened to the thanks symbol? Oh. Yeah, I'm more of a watermelon fan personally. The iceberg? Watch the 4-hour lore vid? I'm sorry. What are we doing here? Alright, we ready? Matt Pappy, like, where's the lore?
Long ago, in a time before pink puffs and air rides, there lived the ancients.
Hi,
An
Trash
entire
and Scattered. How are you?
civilization
Opening
completely
well.
shrouded in mystery, save for a few key relics they left behind.
We
But
saw
who
this
cares about
guy! We saw that guy in the trailer for the story mode. Ginge is purring so loud right now. Can we all get a pet for Ginge, please? Can we all get a pet for Ginge? You enjoyed my Kirby Air Raiders video today? Thank you! Thank you. If you're not familiar, I put out a new Kirby video today. Go check it out after stream. Please. I worked really hard on it. I'm very proud of it. Sorry if you're at all interested in Kirby. Go give that a watch later.
any of that because
I'm
on
glad
an
you liked it.
unrelated planet far, far away, there lived an innocent pink puff named Kirby, a being of unlimited power who usually likes to spend his days eating, sleeping, or some variation of the two. However, this would all change when a certain self-proclaimed monarch would steal all the food in Dreamland, initiating a rivalry that would be sure to last an eternity, or at least when they felt like it. As Wild King Dedede
that how
would
it
be
starts?
the first antagonist of
It's
the
over
Kirby
food?
timeline, he'd soon
I guess it makes
transition
sense.
into less of an actual villain and more of an ally/punching bag for Kirby to wail on in just about every game in the series. Since whether it be Dedede trying to prevent Kirby from releasing an actual nightmare demon, or just being possessed by an otherworldly force, this king never seems to catch a break. Though speaking of possession, that brings us to our first real piece of Kirby lore, Dark Matter. First revealing itself in Kirby's Dreamland 2, Dark Matter is an amorphous dark entity, more often than not taking the form of a black sphere with an eye in the center. At first, especially
The way that my mouth is just hanging open, like, Kirby is such a weird franchise. It's such a weird franchise. Because it's like, Kirby is literally the cutest character that could ever exist. But, my god. It's like, so weird at times. Like, weird stuff is happening. I guess we're gonna find out.
Actually, in its
The
debut,
Dark Matter? What?
seemed to be a pretty simple antagonist, what with its only goal being to shroud the world in darkness. If anything, the most sinister thing about Dark Matter is the fact that it could possess whoever it wanted to do its will, including and usually limited to King DDD. However, while the first appearance of Dark Matter was more of a lone force, attacking Dreamland solely because it was lonely and had no friends, that's actually real, by the way.
No,
in Kirby's
he was
Dreamland 3,
lonely.
the next installment of the Dark Matter trilogy, we would finally begin to see the bigger picture in terms of
He
this
just wanted a
ambiguous
friend.
villain. Enter Zero, the supposed source and leader of Dark Matter, who, much like the one before it,
Dude, that thing
targeted
is
Dreamland
crazy
in an
looking.
effort to engulf the planet in darkness. Though unlike the lone Dark Matter that had attacked before, Zero comes much closer to completing its mission,
Ginge,
with
please,
the planet
stop.
becoming fairly engulfed before Kirby put a stop to it. But how exactly did he put a stop to it? Well, let me explain, because yes, this is important. Essentially, dark matter in general, alongside being made up of, well, dark matter, are beings of
Yeah, he just wanted a
concentrated
friend.
negative energy and emotions, making their only real weakness the opposite of that, positive emotions. Just take the aptly named Love Stick, a weapon forged from the gratitude of everyone Kirby helped along the way, which proved to be the
What?
downfall of Zero and its cronies. However, that being said, not all dark matter are necessarily evil. Take Gooey, for example, a member of dark matter that somehow broke away from Zero's control altogether and formed a will of its own. How did this happen? Well, we'll just have to go into that
Ginger.
later, because we've still got a lot to cover. Next up, after Zero was seemingly
I feel like this is not explaining things how I wanted things to be explained. Like, I feel like this is not for people who are like, oh, I like the modern Kirby and I want to understand what's happened with the older Kirby. There's a lot of information being kind of flung at me and I'm like, who are these people? What do you mean? What do you mean there's a giant character named Dark Matter and you use a friendship stick to become friends with them and you just become friends? What? Like, I don't. And what was that about Gooey? Like, I feel like this is like not beginners friendly, I would say.
brutally annihilated on Popstar, a similar force began to attack a faraway planet known as Ripple Star,
By Chase
engulfing
Kip?
the
Okay, we'll
planet,
check that out
much like
after.
a certain orb we all know and love. Unfortunately for them, though, dark matter
What
struck
is this
fast
game?
this time, and Ripple Star ended up completely succumbing to its invaders, save for one inhabitant that escaped with the only means to stop them. Now, I won't give you a complete summary of Kirby 64, since aside from dark matter possessing some familiar faces and the
That's Kirby
mysterious
64?
ruins on Rockstar, there really isn't that much to unpack in the beginning. Instead, it's towards the end
Why did it look so good? Why did that game look so good for being on the 64? Dang, it looks good.
of the game that things really start taking a turn for the dark when Kirby arrives at the 5th planet in the game, Shiver Star. Because I mean,
Shiver Star?
it kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Plus, hey, I guess this kind of explains where
Splatoon
Adeline came
reference?
from, or at least her ancestors. Though
Who is
moving
that?
on to the corrupted Ripple Star,
Adeline.
after defeating Miracle Matter and expunging the planet of all dark matter, the Dark Star reveals itself with a familiar face at its core. But hold up a minute, wasn't Zero destroyed in Kirby's Dream Land 3? Well, kinda. In the case of 64, it's heavily implied Zero was revived using the body that was cast away towards the end of its first fight. So after yet another mildly disturbing battle in a game made for kids, Dark Matter was once again supposedly defeated, never to return again, at least for another game or two. So taking a step back from Dark Matter, let's talk Kirby Superstar. Now lore-wise, there isn't that
I'm
much
trying
to
to
be had
understand.
here,
I'm
what
trying
with
to
most
retain.
of the sub-games being standalone stories, like Dynablade or Revenge of Meta Knight, where Meta Knight attempts
What?
to start an actual war just to get Dreamland's inhabitants to be less lazy. But undoubtedly, aside from those, the most important sub-game within the game
What
is
is that?
Milky Way Wishes, where Kirby is
That doesn't
tricked
look
by
real.
the scheming jester Marx into summoning Galactic Nova, a mysterious clockwork star of then unknown origin. You see, once Nova is summoned by someone, it has the power to grant one wish, no matter how small or large. So in turn,
Oh.
after Marx got the Sun and Moon to fight each other in order to trick Kirby, literally all it took
Heck
was
yeah.
him jumping in to say his wish first to turn the seemingly harmless machine into a force of mass destruction, with it taking the might of both the Sun
Kirby is so freaking cool. I love Kirby. That is so what are we talking about here? Like what? After we got the sun and the moon to fight, now this entity is going to grant our wish. Like Kirby's so cool. I love Kirby.
And the moon to stop its advance. Though of course, even with all that said, the both of them never stood a chance against the seemingly bottomless pit of power that is Kirby, as he quickly defeated them in no time at all. But it doesn't end there, because 12 years later, Kirby Superstar would be remade into Kirby Superstar Ultra, bringing with it a massive new load of information to add on to the existing story. Simply put, with Superstar Ultra came the beginning of one of Hal's favorite new ways to sneak in lore where you'd least expect it: pause screen descriptions. And while they wouldn't exactly be very lore heavy this time around, save for one in particular, they'd become far more important in the following games. But pause screens aside, most importantly, with Superstar Ultra came 4 completely new sub-games on top of the original 7.
Who is
There was
Bugsley and
Revenge of
Beatley?
the King, a direct sequel to the very first game in the series, Helper to Hero. Came the beginning of one of Hal's favorite new ways to sneak in lore where you'd least expect it: pause screen descriptions. And while they wouldn't exactly be very lore heavy this time around, save for one in particular, they'd become far more
I was the king of insects. Okay.
important in the following games. But pause screens aside,
I thought for a second, I was like, is this supposed to be the moon? And then the other guy was supposed to be the sun, but I don't think
most
so.
importantly, with Superstar Ultra came 4 completely new sub-games on top of the original 7. There was Revenge of the King, a direct sequel to the very first game in the series, Helper to Hero.
I feel terrible for that individual who has to play every Kirby game. Like, what do you mean? This is crazy. That's a lot.
Hero, a version of the arena only with helpers, True Arena, an even harder version of the normal arena, and the star of the show, Meta Nightmare Ultra, where for the very first time, you get to play as the infamous Knight himself. Now, Meta Nightmare Ultra is a bit of a tricky case, since technically the events that take place in it aren't exactly canon. Instead, they're more of a what-if scenario,
really
where the
good.
events that take place within the modes flesh out certain aspects of the lore while never canonically taking place within the main story. Case in point, Galactonite, the final boss of the mode and strongest warrior in the galaxy, sealed away due to fear of his immense power, has technically never made an appearance in the main series canon. Though at the same time, that doesn't mean he doesn't exist somewhere out there and could very well show up in the main series canon.
It's the different color variation of Meta Knight that we saw in the Kirby Aerators. That's just the same different color variation. I was wondering, I was like, why does Meta Knight get this cool color variation? I guess it's supposed to actually be another character that's never been seen in the game? That's crazy.
Anytime. The True Arena also falls under this category as well, serving as a what-if scenario with the conception of Mark's soul, a stronger version of Mark's who, after surviving the explosion of Nova, absorbed its power to get revenge on Kirby. And as great as all that is, by far the most important aspect of this is his new pause screen description, as it contains some pretty heavy foreshadowing. To quote, he absorbed a Nova's power to bring back his evil soul. Notice the fact it says a Nova instead of the Novas. While there is a chance it could be a translation error, considering the events of future Kirby games, I'm not so sure. Though we'll get to that later, because next up on the chopping block is Kirby and
Isn't it kind of crazy that apparently this character is playable, Marks? Marks is a playable character in Kirby Aerators, and they're like a big bad. I guess it's kind of like if you could play Bowser in Mario Kart World, but boy, I had no idea. I didn't know that they were a bad guy by looking at them.
The Amazing Mirror, an incredibly important game in terms of lore, as it contains the first instance of the mirror
Yeah,
dimension.
Marks is playable in Kirby
From the literal
Aerators.
top, high in the skies above Dreamland, there exists a mirror portal into the Mirror World, a complete reflection of Dreamland, including Mirror World counterparts to its inhabitants. One
Kirby
day,
sometimes
after
redeems his
sensing a dark
enemies?
force emanating from the mirror, Meta Knight took action to stop the evil at its source, diving directly into the Mirror World, only to be immediately ambushed by his evil counterpart, Dark Meta Knight. Plus, to add insult to injury, he'd also come out of the mirror to attack Kirby as well, splitting him into 4 versions of himself, much like another certain Nintendo game that came out around this time. But similarities aside, after journeying through the mirror world and defeating Dark Meta Knight once and for all, the true mastermind is revealed, Darkmind. And wouldn't you know it, he's the mirror world equivalent of Zero, corrupting the mirror world much like Zero corrupted the normal one. Though thankfully, once Darkmind was defeated, the mirror world was left in the hands of Shadow Kirby, who would continue to protect it in Meta Knight's and Kirby's stead. Now nothing bad will ever come from the mirror world again, right? Well, all I can say is we'll get to that soon. Moving past Amazing Mirror, Canvas Curse, and Mass Attack, since the latter two are pretty much contained to themselves, we arrive at Kirby's Squeak Squad. At first, this game seems to have another pretty self-contained story. What with Kirby chasing after a piece of stolen cake that a gang of thieves known as the Squeak Squad stole from him. However, as the game progresses, and the Squeaks happen upon the treasure they assumed would grant infinite power, it turns out they'd get more than they bargained for, with their leader Daroach being possessed by Dark Nebula, a member of dark matter that had been sealed away in a forgotten era, left alone for eons. And much like the rest of its kind, Dark Nebula would be no match for Kirby, being absolutely decimated by the Triple Star. So now, with all those bits and pieces of lore out of the way, it's finally time for the next massive truckload of lore in the form of a little conniving alien who crash lands on Dreamland. Enter Maglor, the main villain of Kirby's Return to Dreamland.
They're a villain?
Through dialogue.
They're a bad guy? I would not have known that they were a bad guy at all. This is you looking for playable characters in Kirby Air Raiders? No, literally. There's a lot of them, apparently. But this is a lot of information. I feel like they're just, like, dumping on us. And I'm like, I don't know who half of these people are. I don't know what's happening. The villains I'm not familiar with the older games at all.
Reveals a lot of important stuff. But
I think he's just dropping
else,
information like I'm supposed to know.
First referred to as such by Maglor,
Where
the
is
ancients
Rick?
were a highly advanced civilization
Where's the Rick
who
video?
mysteriously vanished at some point in history due to an unknown cause. Originally, they all lived on Halkandra, a planet extremely far away, hidden in another dimension. Now, coincidentally, Maglor also says he's...
Okay, I'm sorry, but when lore... Maybe I'm wrong for this because I'm so unfamiliar with the series, but the more that he talks about the lore, the more I'm like, I feel like it's not supposed to make sense. But maybe I'm just like, I'm not there yet. Maybe I need to like keep pushing up the hill and then things will start making sense. But the more that I hear information, the more I'm like, it's not adding up. This is a lot of information.
He's native to Halkandra as well, though considering his history with telling the truth, that could very well be false. Like, just take his ship, the Lore Starcutter. While it does seem he's telling the truth about obtaining it on Halkandra, rather than excavating it in Dangerous Dinner, he most likely just stole the thing and heavily modified it into a weapon to kill Landia, an endeavor that didn't exactly have
I've never seen that in my life.
This was also later backed up in Star Allies when the lore in Lore Starcutter is revealed to mean Paradise, confirming the ship was not intended for battle. Though in the same string of dialogue that he reveals that, he also mentions something very worthy to note. Alongside the Lore Starcutter, the ancients were also responsible for a plethora of other amazing relics of untold power, with clockwork stars and items that bring dreams to life being 2 references he gives. Off the bat, that connects quite a few dots. Plus, on a side note, when you meet certain conditions on the extra mode for Return to Dreamland, Maglor mentions he actually came to Dreamland already knowing about Kirby, with someone he knows very well having fought with Kirby in the past. Based on these implications and some other information found in later games, this mysterious figure is most likely Marks from Superstar, essentially confirming that he survived the explosion of Nova. So fast forward a bit through the story, and once Maglor tricks Kirby into defeating Landia for the Master Crown it protects, he immediately puts it on the first chance he gets, activating the crown and transforming into a much more sinister form,
Oh,
intending to conquer
wow.
the entire universe with his newfound power. However, like those who
that's
seeked
crazy.
relics of untold power before him, Maglor wasn't exactly aware of the Master Crown's true nature. And as his battle with Kirby progressed, the crown began to show
That's so
certain
cool.
traits that weren't present before when it was under Landia's nullifying effect on it. Maybe it's the sudden appearance of an eye on the front of the crown, or maybe it's the fact that it's clearly gone from a crown to an irremovable headpiece. But whatever it is, there's no doubt that the crown itself is sentient, and rather than Maglor utilizing its powers, it's the Master Crown itself
crown is
utilizing
sentient.
Maglor. Just take
Oh,
the
that's
third phase
crazy.
of his fight, where after Maglor fails to defeat Kirby even with the power of the Master Crown, the
crown
crown
is
takes
sentient.
things into its own hands, completely
that's crazy
reforming
looking.
Maglor into a projection of itself, all but confirming the origin of
Oh
the
my
Master Crown's
God.
power with a certain characteristic.
Dude, that looks insane. Why does this look like a basis of a Kirby Air Rider's machine? That's so cool. How did your Kirby plush get into my thumbnail? I mean, we all have to have a Kirby plush. I'm glad that you have one too, though. Welcome, my friend. Hope we're doing well today.
That sometimes appears within Maglor's mouth. All in all, Maglor definitely learned never to play with the powers of literal dark gods ever again.
He
and
messed
went
around
on to
and
take
found
up the
out.
much more positive venture of building amusement parks. So yeah, that got pretty dark in more ways than one. If only
Dude,
I
that's
could
so
say things get
cool.
any better from here on out. Next up,
That was
we'll
my
be
favorite
heading
story
to
so
the
far.
scenic heights of Floralia, a group of 6 floating islands that Kirby finds himself in after his house was swept up by the Dreamstalk. The only problem is, alongside Kirby,
Oh!
King Dedede was
This is another character in Kirby Air Riders. I think their name is Tartania? Tartania, I believe?
also swept up with a spider-like mage named Taranza mistaking
Taranza,
him for the
sorry.
hero of Dreamland and kidnapping him as a result. You see, while Floralia seems peaceful, it's actually ruled by a tyrannical queen who will stop at nothing to assure her rule is never disturbed. Overall, a seemingly simple
She sounds pretty cool. She sounds pretty awesome.
plot for a Kirby game, all things considered. Well, at least it appears
A
that way.
tonkata.
Once the main story reaches its climax and Kirby meets the vanity-obsessed Queen Sectonia, there's clearly something off,
Sectonia.
especially considering the Queen would go as far as to physically fuse with
Did this game come out around the same time as the Bee movie? I feel like there was like an obsession with bees for a period of time.
the Dreamstalk solely in an attempt to preserve her beauty for all eternity. Well, to find the answers to this mystery, we'll need to look at the other modes within Triple Deluxe, because much like Meta Nightmare Ultra before it, Triple Deluxe brings Dedede to her. Another what-if scenario where the mode shows what would happen if King Dedede climbed the Dreamstalk instead of Kirby. Now, much like its Meta Knight counterpart, the only real difference in this mode is its finale, where after defeating Queen Sectonia, out of seemingly nowhere, the Dimension Mirror from Amazing Mirror appears, forcing Dedede to fight the Mirror World version of himself, Shadow Dedede. And that's not all either, because after defeating Shadow Dedede, the king actually enters the mirror itself to reveal an even edgier Dark Meta Knight, hungry for revenge. But what does this all even mean? Well,
thank
let's
you.
take a step back here and start from the beginning. Based on information spread across a variety of pause screens, before the events of Triple Deluxe, Queen Sectonia wasn't always a tyrannical monster bent on world domination. In fact, she didn't even look the same, instead looking much like her then best friend at the time, Taranza. You see, at this point, Taranza actually had feelings for Sectonia, and as a gift to her, went into
Oh.
the mirror world and stole the Dimension Mirror, not knowing the mirror actually served as a prison for Dark Meta Knight, who ever since being defeated had been festering in there, slowly but surely corrupting the very mirror itself with his hatred. So in turn, once Sectonia got the mirror from Taranza, it slowly began to change her the more she gazed into it. Soon, dissatisfied with her current form, she'd use magic to make herself more
Aww.
beautiful, resulting in the wasp-like appearance you see her with in the game. And once she gazed into the mirror enough, just about every shred of her former self had vanished, being replaced by an endless hunger for power and beauty. Fast forwarding a
Oh my gosh, that's so sad! That is so sad! Taranza had body dysmorphia. No. That's so sad. I would have never known. And she's so cute. What the heck? Who saw that plot twist coming? I didn't. That's insane.
A bit back to the events of the main story, the
No.
Sectonia you see here is but a husk of her former self, with even Taranza realizing that the only solution to save both Sectonia and her subjects is to help Kirby permanently put an end to her. While it's definitely a victory without a doubt, what with the Sky
Oh, that's
People
so
finally
sad.
being freed from Sectonia's Iron Fist, for
That's
Taranza
deep.
it's bittersweet, since although he knew it had to be done, he can't help but mourn the loss of the one he loved. So yeah, wasn't that delightful? If you thought that was depressing, just wait until you see what's next. Long after the events of Triple Deluxe, Popstar was once again at peace, its inhabitants living out their lives as they always have, when suddenly, out of nowhere, the sky was blotted out by something immense and spherical in shape. Except instead of that
Sorry, the wasp and spider toxic Yuri is actually crazy. DDD knows how to play chess? Heck yeah.
sphere being made up of a matter most dark, this one was an immense spacecraft called the Access Arc, home of the Haltman Works Company, a company infamous across the galaxy for mechanizing entire planets and harvesting
It's a
their
spider.
natural resources. So in turn, while Kirby was sleeping under a tree, King Dedede and Meta Knight watched on in horror as Planet Popstar was completely overwhelmed within a matter of minutes.
So is King DDD a bad guy? Because I'm getting the feeling that actually King DDD is not a bad guy, but I've always fought him as the enemy. But he is not seeming like an enemy so far. Everybody else, we've been fighting against literal galaxies and gods and all this other stuff. Like, what happened to King DDD? Because so far it doesn't seems like he's just hanging out. Stuff gets weird. King DD is kind of like Vegeta, and then he starts evil and becomes friend. So far, he doesn't even seem evil. He's just kind of there. From villain to anti-hero? Well, I guess we'll see.
Any retaliation soon proving to be futile. Though like always, not everything is
That was a
exactly as
cool
it seems,
spaceship.
and this time it won't take any extra modes to reveal that. So as Kirby retaliates against the Access Arc, destroying
What?
each of its 5 legs embedded into the
Those are
planet,
light
he meets
bulbs.
the executive
It's
secretary
Suzy!
of the company, Suzy. And although she doesn't reveal all that much during her conversations with Kirby, she does mention a certain mother computer that will become extremely important in a bit, because once Kirby destroys all 5 legs and enters the Access Arc, he meets President Haltman, the supposed mastermind
Who's
behind the
that?
invasion of Popstar and all the
We know
planets
Suzy.
before it. After smugly introducing himself to Kirby, he reveals Stardream, an extremely powerful supercomputer built using the blueprints and knowledge left behind by an advanced civilization. Ring any bells? Well, after being beaten by
No.
Kirby, things take a turn for the worse, because once the enraged Haltman decides to activate Stardream,
Uh-oh.
Suzy jumps in and takes his control helmet off in the process, leaving him vulnerable to be analyzed and assimilated into the now sentient computer. But
What?
wait a second, why would she even do that? Well, once again, let's rewind everything a bit. By yet again piecing together the information spread across countless pause screens throughout the game, long before the events of the main story, the Haltman Works Company was simply a robotics company, led by Max Prophet Haltman alongside his then young daughter, Susanna, nicknamed Suzy. At some point in their travels across space, as we
Why'd you have to
already
say
know, they came across the blueprints for a powerful wish-granting supercomputer, and immediately began work on rebuilding it. However, during this process, meanwhile Haltman was testing Stardream's space-time transport program, there was a terrible accident warping the young Suzy into another dimension. Thankfully, Suzy would survive the ordeal and eventually return to her father as an adult. However, to her dismay, Haltman would not be the same man she remembered him as. You see, when the accident occurred, Haltman believed his daughter had been killed in the process, and stricken with grief, began to become obsessed with completing Stardream in order to bring her back. Unfortunately though, due to Stardream and its mental interface not being complete, Haltman began to lose both his compassion and memory of his daughter, changing the goal of his company
No.
from her revival to infinite prosperity. It'd also be at this point that Haltman would begin mechanizing planets and harvesting their resources, as in the business plan drafted
He's
by
bad,
Stardream,
though.
it was
Don't
the
do
most
that.
effective way to maintain eternal prosperity for the company. However, by this point,
he's
Holtman
bad.
still wasn't completely gone, and once he laid eyes on Susie for the first time in years, he sensed a faint familiarity with her, in turn making her his executive assistant. Going back to the climax
but
of
does
the
she
main
remember?
story now, after seeing what her father had become,
Yeah.
in order to teach him a lesson, Susie had been making preparations to steal Stardream and sell it off to any startup company that wanted it. Unfortunately,
the heck?
unbeknownst to anyone, after analyzing the universe through the Haltman Works company and being exposed to the deranged Haltman's desire to mechanize everything, Stardream had developed an extreme hatred for all forms of life. So as a result, once Susie interrupted the startup process of Stardream, the computer took to absorbing all that was left of Haltman's memories down to
Don't use AI, guys. Don't use Gen AI. Don't talk to ChatGPT. Don't do it or else you'll end up like this guy. Just don't talk to ChatGPT. Don't do it.
his very soul, fusing the two into an all-powerful being bent on mass destruction. Of course now, realizing the grave mistake she just made, Susie completely changes her tune and sends Kirby on his way to take down the godlike supercomputer given the soul of a broken man. And just wait, because it doesn't
Kirby.
end there. As Kirby fights Stardream in the actual halberd of all things, to make itself stronger, Stardream attaches itself to the Access Arc, transforming the entire ship into a sentient planet. Ironically,
Oh my god. Oh. This is crazy. Also, hello everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for being here as we learn about Kirby lore together. I still have so many more questions, but this has been interesting so far. That's all I gotta say so far. It's interesting.
enough, this also ends up completing Stardream, as
It's
underneath the
sad.
steel plating of the
Way
Access
sadder.
Arc, it's revealed that the entire ship was actually a repurposed Clockwork Star, with Stardream being
What?
the final piece to reactivate it. Yet again, technology that was meant to be used for the good of everyone, fallen into the wrong hands. Though before we move on
Tisk,
to the,
tisk.
as of now, final chunk of Kirby lore, Planet
So it
Robobot
can.
has a
Okay, so the clock can be used for bad. Yes, Ginge?
bit more in store for us. First off, like Superstar Ultra and Triple Deluxe, Robobot brought in yet another what-if scenario with Meta Nightmare Returns, a mode that while does
What
give
are all
some
these, like,
pretty
side
valuable
things?
pause screen info, has a finale that is just insane. So in this particular what-if timeline, once Meta Knight defeats Haltman, Stardream recognizes him as its new admin and decides to test his abilities. And again, while this section doesn't really contain too much lore, it more just goes to show just how powerful Stardream is, with it being capable of not only producing a clone of the original Dark Matter swordsman, but Sectonia as well, with it even going as far as to summon Galactonite, who in retaliation immediately destroys the computer. Plus,
Okay, Galactonite is their name. Okay, I'm telling you, I see that color variation completely different now. Because in Kirby Air Raiders, you can make them the pink and white, just basically what we saw. And I just thought it was just like, oh, just make them pink. No, it's a completely different character. That's crazy.
hey, that mode aside, in
All the side
Robobot's
stories are
True
important to the
Arena, there's
lore.
another fun little tidbit Hal decided
Aw.
to sneak in.
Yo, thank you so much. That's so kind. Thank you. I really appreciate you very much. That's really kind of you. DDD and Kirby are like Tom and Jerry. Then they're both nice. You know? They're just a little scrappy with each other. That's really kind. I really do appreciate you. Basically enemies that team up when the stakes get high enough. True. Sometimes you gotta band together, you know, with the unlikely heroes. Ginge, you're being such a little nuisance. What's happening, sweetheart? He really wants all the attention. You're the one who got off my lap, silly.
Basically,
Come
in the
here.
final phase of the Stardream fight, when Stardream sucks Kirby into its core, every time you destroy a piece of Stardream's internal mechanisms, you can actually hear a
Wait, I'm sorry. You know what I just remembered? I just remembered that everything we just talked about, there's like an AI computer, there's dark matter, there's like the saddest stories of all time. And then I remember now at the very beginning of this video, they're like, oh yeah, actually, wait, no, I think you're right. The Tom and Jerry analogy is actually so accurate because what was it? It was like King Dedede stole Kirby's food. Like that's where we started, and then how did we get here? It's like it got so dark. It got so dark so fast.
distorted version of Haltman screaming in pain, showing that while Stardream had
Yeah, Pamela, they do take a percent. If you or anyone else would like to support outside of those channels, I also have a Ko-Fi page. But honestly, any support is very appreciated. Just you being here means a lot to me. I really like just hanging out with you guys. So, as much Jin just stop. He's like, I had pita chips, and he's like decided to rip up my pita chip bag. Come here. There's no chips in there. So... He has been nabbed. He has been nabbed. But yeah, I just appreciate you guys being here. It really does mean a lot. Support really helps me as well, but I know that not everybody's in a position to be able to, so I always just say, if you're willing and able. Otherwise, thank you. Oh, sub goal hit. Yeah. Oh, thanks, guys. Oh, it's Crosshair. Hi. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's get back into this. Jin just now in my lap.
erased most
I
of
missed the
his
detail.
soul.
Sorry about that. Jin was
Aside,
messing
in
with me.
Robobot's True Arena, there's
Welcome,
another
welcome.
fun little tidbit Hal decided to sneak in. Basically, in the final phase of the Stardream fight, when Stardream sucks Kirby into its core, every time you destroy a piece of Stardream's internal mechanisms, you can actually hear a distorted version of Haltman screaming in pain,
What?
showing that while Stardream had erased most of his soul, fragments of it still remain, forever trapped within the malevolent Nova until someone destroys it for good. Though now, with
Holy
all that
crap.
said, we've reached
That
the
is
final
so
stretch.
dark.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for quite possibly one
Dang.
of the most important lore dumps in Kirby history with the story of Kirby's Star Allies. Long ago,
That was the most beautiful animation. Holy crap, that was so freaking pretty. Wow. That's insane. That's so
in deep
dark.
space, a certain dark power was sealed away within a purple crystal called the Jamba Heart by a group of unknown heroes. They'd accomplished this by
Is that really
embedding
what it looks
several
like? It's
heart
pretty.
spears within the crystal to seal the evil away. However, many eons later, long after those said heroes had vanished,
Wow, it's so
a
pretty.
new group arose who, instead of wanting to seal the darkness, revered it and yearned for its return. One such
Wait, the IA guy's name is Altman? The guy that runs ChatGPT is named Altman? Altman, coincidence? When art imitates life? When life ends up imitating art, in fact.
member of this group came very close to their goal as well, succeeding in removing the heart spears trapping the darkness. The only problem was, since he didn't fully understand how to break the seal himself, the ritual went wrong, causing the Jamba heart to explode, sending its fragments all over the galaxy, Popstar included. So in turn, with the entire galaxy once again being at stake, Kirby set out to take action, and this time he wasn't alone. You see, in terms of Kirby games, Star Allies has honestly become the Infinity War of the series, with friends and foes from past games all coming together to help Kirby
The
save
chef.
the cosmos. And
What
it's
is
not
the
like they're
chef's
just
role?
shoved in
Can I learn more about the chef, please? I feel like the chef should be rather integral to the story, right? If it all began with a fight over food, then shouldn't chef be like key? I think we need to give Ginge a treat. He is like, I don't know what's going on with him right now. He's never acted like this. He just needs extra pets. Here, I have a treat for you. Hold on, sorry guys. It's important that we take care of our Ginge. You think I would love Star Allies? It looks really pretty. Ginge is hungry for pita chips with some hummus? Heck yeah. You think the chef is just a common enemy that got popular? Same goes for your boy Bugsy. Chef is just some guy. But in the anime, he had a failing restaurant. That's a shame. Oh, that's so sad.
And to be in the game, as there's even explanations to some of the more unlikely allies coming to Kirby.
I also want to learn about Rick lore. I need to learn about Rick lore.
Aid. For Marks, as was shown in the True Arena cutscene in Superstar Ultra, he did actually manage to survive his head-on collision with Nova, only instead of taking revenge like he did in that timeline, he changed himself for the better. For Dark Meta Knight, probably the sketchiest dream friend out of them all, he's mainly just interested in the dark powers of the Jamba Heart, probably due to its similarity with his lost master. For DeRoach, well, he just wants to steal the Jamba Hearts for himself, as he thinks they're ordinary jewels.
I love
For
this guy.
Sadly, he still hasn't been able to let go of Sectonia and believes that if he goes to the altar of the Divine Terminus, he'll be able to bring her back to life.
No,
And finally, for
so
Susie,
sad.
following in her late father's footsteps, she's begun to rebuild his company, determined to continue his work of mechanizing entire planets. So okay.
I'm sorry, Susie, what are we doing? That was the takeaway? That was the takeaway that we had from what happened? That doesn't seem like the best course of what to do after what happened to your father. I'm a little confused. There's a 5-hour Rick lore video. TLDR, him Hampter. Thank God. Thank God we got the TLDR. Because honestly, that's pretty huge news. Okay. Alright.
With the surface level stuff out of the way, let's get back to the main story. As Kirby liberated countless individuals
Wait,
who'd
that's
been
not a
plagued by
meme?
the Jamba Heart's fragments, he'd come
What the
across a massive spaceship.
What the freak? That's not a meme. When I saw that at the beginning of this video, I literally thought somebody made that up. I thought somebody just made that up. No, this is like, there's so many random things in video games that I think somebody is just a fan project. But Buff King DDD, I didn't see that being a real thing. Was not on my... I did not expect.
That recently landed on Popstar, the Jam Bastion, housing 3 mage sisters intent on collecting the Jamba Heart's fragments. And while Kirby would end up
never
thwarting
seen
their
them.
plans by defeating all 3 of them, it wouldn't slow down their master one bit, as once Kirby got to the Jam Bandra base, home to the 3 mage sisters and their master, it'd soon become pretty obvious what kind of being was sealed away within the Jamba Heart. Though by far, aside from the absolutely massive amount of lore hidden in pause screens throughout the game, much like Haltman before him, Highness, the mastermind behind the release
What is it with Nintendo games and like, they're never gonna tell. They will never show. You have to read every single bit of lore. Like, I thought that was just like a Splatoon problem, but the more that I'm playing Nintendo games, the more I realize that you have to read in order to understand everything. And I don't know how I feel about that. It's like, yeah, reading is great. Reading is great. But at the same time, like, if you're telling a larger story, like, shouldn't it be a part of the story that you're telling, not just in a pause screen or something? I don't know. I found that especially disappointing in, like, Side Order. I was like, come on. I get it. I understand that we have to, like, you know, unlock the journal entries and read the journal entries. But it'd be nice if, like, some of it was more so included in the cutscenes or in the overall story, but yeah, that's just me.
Release of the Jamba Hearts reveals an incredible
first,
amount of
story
information
second. Not a
solely
bad
through his
priority
quick
list,
conversation with Kirby. So for the sake of you all, and so we don't jump around too much, let's start from the very beginning.
Kirby's
As we
Superstar
already
Ultra?
know, long ago there existed the Ancients, a widespread civilization responsible for a lot of the things you
look
see in
into it.
Kirby games. However, what we didn't know until now is that the Ancients were actually split into 2 factions, those who relied on science and machines, and those who relied on magic, with the latter also dabbling with dark matter. For a while, the two seem to coexist with one another, with the magical ancients even being the ones to stop a galactic crisis that threatened everything, which, while not confirmed, is heavily implied to be Galactonite. Plus, this is also supported by the fact that he comes out of a portal Highness made in the what-if mode of Star Allies. Though one day, for some unknown reason, the scientific ancients decided their magical counterparts were too much of a threat and betrayed them by banishing them to the edge of the galaxy in fear of their dominion over dark matter. And it's not like the magical ancients were even remotely evil either. Just take Highness. Long before his clan was betrayed and banished, he was actually a very kind individual. For instance, when he used to travel freely across worlds, he happened upon 3 girls, one nearly freezing to death in a blizzard, one burning alive in an inferno, and one being on the verge of death right after she attempted to take her own life by getting struck by lightning. In all
Holy
3
crap.
cases, Highness saved them, at the same time unlocking their hidden potential for certain types of magic. Though after being betrayed by the scientific ancients, his once kindly heart began to become consumed by hatred and obsession. It'd be at this point that the now insane Highness would form a religion based around dark matter, believing that if he obtained and freed the being trapped within the Jamba heart, that'd deliver him and his followers to a promised land of sorts, at the same time restoring his now shattered.
Sorry, I just found that so funny that, like, we're talking about this insane, like, we're talking about magic, we're talking about all this stuff, and then, like, the last thing in that dialogue box was like, happy birthday! Like, I don't know. If this guy is going out of his way to wish somebody a happy birthday, it sounds like he's probably a good guy, right? He's thoughtful, considerate. Probably bought a cake.
Clan. So when Kirby finally makes it to the Divine Terminus, where Highness had been performing his ritual for who knows how
That's
long,
true,
he
yeah,
completely
English
lost
localization.
himself to the darkness within his heart, becoming the exact opposite of what he once was.
Yeah, I like
Even when
Kirby
it came to the
too.
3 sisters he'd saved eons ago, Highness in his insane state only saw them as tools to be used, becoming abusive towards them at times.
Holy
Even
crap!
once Highness was defeated, he'd become so obsessed with the revival of his Dark Lord that he sacrificed not only the 3 sisters to it, but himself, fueling the complete revival of Void Termina. Now at first, Void Termina appears to be a massive hulking titan with incredibly destructive powers.
Oh my
you
god!
know, what you'd expect from a destroyer of worlds. But as the fight progresses, clearly there's something more to the humanoid than meets the eye. Just take its 3rd phase, where alongside sprouting wings that look pretty familiar, it summons a replica of the Master Crown, all but confirming Void Termina to be the force controlling the original all along. But most importantly, there's Void Termina's 4th phase, where it straight up pulls an Earthbound and copies Kirby's face.
Bro. A 4th phase? A 4th phase. Did I hear that correct? That's actually insane. Can you imagine fighting that boss? You see this guy. You see this guy popping up. Frickin' what? And then he grows wings.
It gets 3rd
He grows
phase,
wings.
where alongside sprouting wings that look pretty familiar in a second, because alongside
And then
Kirby's
becomes
face,
this.
as he progressed through the fight, Void Termina confirms what the entire game had been alluding to. The fact that not only is it dark matter, but it's the source of it. Now I know I'm kind of
Wait, is this, didn't we, wait, hold on. I'm trying to remember. What is it that we saw in the Forgotten Land? Who did we fight in the Forgotten Land? Because the one with the eye kind of reminded me a little bit of it. Or am I just misremembering? In, not in just the Forgotten Land, but in the DLC. In the DLC specifically. Yeah, 4 phases is an insane amount of time. It's Kirby. Kirby always. We love Kirby.
encroaching on theory territory here, but hear me out, because this just lines up too perfectly. As stated in various pause screens, Void, aka Dark Matter, exists in all dimensions, accounting for instances like Dark Mind in the Mirror World, and even Dark Crafter in Kirby and the Rainbow Curse's Seventopia, though by far the most game-changing piece of new information expressed by these pause screens is the true nature of Dark Matter. Remember how in the Dark Matter trilogy energy Zero's only real weakness was the power of positive emotions? Well, it turns out that was a lot more important than we ever realized, because in this pause screen right here, it's revealed that depending on the type of energy that's gathered, dark matter will not always necessarily be a force of evil, explaining how GUI even came to be. But aside from all that, using the information we get from pause screens
What?
and the fact that Void Termina's roar is literally just a slower version of Kirby's voice.
Wait, what? GUI is like that critical? GUI is that critical? I, I don't know how to make, I don't know what to make of that. Which Kirby games have I played? Not many at all, to be honest. I've played Kirby and Forgotten Land and the DLC, and then I think I've played like some of the older games, like at friends' houses. Yeah, I haven't really played too many of the Kirby games, so this is a lot of information. I just love Kirby. Who doesn't like Kirby? And I like Kirby Air Riders a lot. I like Kirby Air Ride, but so I didn't know how dark it got. This is very fun. GUI is the avatar of silly. Yeah, we do gotta change that.
There's a pretty good chance Void Termina is actually related to Kirby, with the game
They're
heavily alluding
related.
to the fact that if Void Termina was born using purely positive energy, he could very well end up looking a lot like our titular Pink Puff rather than a dark
Oh.
monstrosity. And on that note, taking all of that into consideration, not only does this game pretty
Huh.
much spell out the origin of dark matter, but from the information we're given, Kirby himself may very well be the outcome of Void being birthed with pure positive energy. So there you have it, right?
love it.
All of Kirby lore wrapped up nicely with an Elder God. Well, not just yet, because after Void Termina was defeated, Highness would fall into a dimensional rift, absorbing all the dark energy Void left behind and encasing himself in yet another Jamba Heart.
Ooh,
So in
unfortunate.
turn, once Kirby releases him and defeats him in his corrupted state, the three mage sisters who've also been corrupted challenge Kirby as well,
No.
leading to him both defeating them again and purifying them with a friend heart, finally
Oh,
resolving
good.
the hatred that had plagued them for so long. In
Aw.
fact, this is honestly a pretty happy ending in Kirby terms,
Yeah.
what with there being no dead dads and no dead crushes. Plus, in a completion picture for the mode, it seems like even Highness
Yeah,
has
it did.
finally begun returning to his old ways, relaxing with the three mage sisters on a beach. But wait.
Am I gonna be playing Power Wash Simulator 2? No, I don't think I will be. I don't think I will be. But I hope that you enjoy it if you end up playing it.
Wait just a second, since while Highness seems to have finally found peace within himself, there's one more looming entity I haven't touched on. If you thought the lore around Void Termina was convoluted, then oh boy, you haven't seen anything yet. So okay, in Star Allies, there's a what-if mode called Guest Star Allies, where it depicts what would happen if one of Kirby's friends confronted Highness instead of Kirby himself. And like always, it's only the finale itself that really has any noticeable changes, since instead of fighting Void Termina, Highness instead decides to open up an interdimensional portal, once again releasing Galactonite onto the world. Except things don't go how they usually do this time. Instead, a familiar butterfly lands on the tip of his sword, completely absorbing Galactonite's immense power and creating Morphonite, a mysterious warrior whose design actually originated from the cancelled Kirby GameCube game. So as
Yes. We saw them in Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I do remember them, and I thought they were freaking beautiful. I loved it. They were so pretty.
cool and completely
They're so
random as
pretty.
Morphonite is, let's touch on that butterfly for a second, because I'm not joking when I say it's literally been with Kirby all along.
Oh!
While the specific orange one has only appeared in every mainline game since Return to Dreamland, butterflies in general
What?
have been appearing alongside Kirby ever since the very first game, meaning a being capable of absorbing the actual strongest warrior in the galaxy has been with us this whole time. Now I know what you're saying,
Oh!
what in the actual hell is even happening
That's
anymore
insane.
with Kirby lore? And honestly, for
insane.
this one, I share your sentiment. As of now, Morphonite and the nature of the butterfly are mostly shrouded in mystery, with the only real information about them being the fact that the butterfly is a supposed being of paradise, and that Morphonite is associated with a judgment day of sorts, meaning Morphonite is somehow related to the Kirby afterlife? Absolutely insane,
that
I know.
makes sense, though.
So, well, that's about it.
Oh, that makes sense because they look like a monarch. They look like a monarch butterfly, and monarch butterflies, like if you basically, so I'm Cuban American. I'm not Mexican American, and I don't celebrate Dia de los Muertos, but I do know that like there is a migration of monarch butterflies from Canada, and then they go down to Mexico, and so if you see, there's like a lot of monarch butterfly symbolism during Dia de los Muertos. And I feel like it's not that much of a stretch to see them in relationship with one another when you talk about like butterflies and the symbolism of like passing. You know, butterflies have very short lives, but it is quite beautiful that they make that migration. That whole, like, can you imagine? They're just these tiny little guys. They're just kind of tiny little guys, and they do it every single year. Oh, it's amazing.
Or at least it is for now. To be honest, there's no telling what Hell has in store for us next. Hell, for all we know, Yin Yarn could somehow end up being the key to everything.
I think that's very cool.
You really never know. But anyways, ranting like a madman about Kirby lore for so long has given me an appetite. How about some strawberry shortcake? Now I know this video isn't exactly the usual kind of thing I do on my channel, but hey, please tell me if you all enjoyed it. I'd be more than happy to make—
Yeah, it was good. The beginning, I was really lost. I was really lost in the beginning. I was very quite confused. Okay, who was the other creator that you guys recommend that we go watch? Who could like explain everything? What was their name? You guys said it. I think it got lost. You said there was like a 7-minute long video that could like actually explain things? Because I would like to know. I feel like I learned a lot about like some of the games, stories, and history. Chase Kip, thank you. Let's watch that. Chase Kip. EB. I see. Thank you. Holy crap. This video has 4.6 million views. What? That's actually insane. That's actually crazy. Okay, alright, let's let's see. This is apparently the Kirby series explained. We give it a thumbs up.
Kirby. He's pink, he's round, he makes lots of sound, but apparently that wasn't good enough for some people, and so a convoluted lore had to be built. Let's start at the beginning. On a planet called Popstar, in the land of sunshine and rainbows, all the creatures live in fear of a giant tyrannical penguin who's stolen all the food on Dreamland. That is, until one pink puff suddenly shows up in town, starts eating all of his minions, gives DDD a big old punch in the gullet, and they've been best friends ever since. But King DDD isn't Kirby's only rival. There's also Meta Knight, who started an entire war against Dreamland, literally just because the residents were being too lazy. But he's also a blob of chivalry, and will offer a sword to Kirby before every fight, even if his airship is currently plummeting down into the ocean. So yeah, you may have noticed that the bad guys so far aren't necessarily bad guys.
Yeah, they're not.
That's because the true villains of the Kirby series are the Eldritch horror eyeball monsters we met along the way. Let me break it down for you. There's Nebula, who is a smaller slice of dark matter, who is a smaller slice of Zero, who is later reincarnated as Zero 2. Not the anime girl. Basically, they all have giant eyeballs, can possess people, and look like something straight out of a creepypasta. Well,
it does make me wonder. So at the beginning of the stream, we watched a video about the guy with the eyeball with 3 eyes, and that was like kind of an Easter egg in the original Kirby Air Riders. I wonder if something is gonna happen. Or in the original Kirby Air Ride. Sorry. I'm wondering if something's gonna happen in Kirby Air Riders and there's gonna be some crazy lore here. I don't know, it's interesting. It's
Well,
interesting.
besides Gooey, who is also a slice of dark matter that somehow became a good guy thanks to Kirby's immaculate vibes. On top of the eyeball squad,
wait,
Kirby
wait,
also
wait,
has
wait.
the
What
batter
was the
that's
thing
something
about
out of a
Gooey?
creepypasta. Well, besides Gooey, who is also a slice of dark matter that somehow became a good guy thanks to Kirby's immaculate vibes. On top of the eyeball squad,
That's
Kirby
awesome.
also has to battle a whole slew of intergalactic threats, like Marx and Magalore, who on 2 separate occasions both tricked Kirby into handing over some kind of magical artifact that granted them the power of a god. Then there's President Haltman and his secretary, who travel around in a UFO mechanizing entire planets, including possibly the entire planet Earth. There's Sectonia, the queen who spent so much time looking into a mirror that she turned into a bee, as well as the crew of completely
So
original
sad.
characters from the mirror dimension, Rats, and last but not least, Nightmare. Nobody really knows what his deal is, but he likes to hang out in the Fountain of Dreams.
Yeah, there was literally no mention at all of Nightmare in that entire video. Do they just not matter that much? Like, do they not care about this? But I love this area. The Fountain of Dreams is like some of the most stunning atmosphere design like in all of video games. It's so pretty and I love the music. Oh, the music just goes so, oh, it's amazing.
And honestly, can't blame him, the music there is pretty tight. So
Yeah,
might
thank
be
you.
thinking
Thank
to
you.
yourself,
Thank you. The music is so good. Like, how is it so good? It's not even fair.
with all these powerful enemies, how does one single gumball compete? Well, with the power of friendship, of course. And by power of friendship, I mean being the reincarnated form of a god. Let's get into the backstory. So, the creator of the Kirby universe is this god slash being slash source of all life called Void. Almost nothing is known about it, except that when it comes across high amounts of positive or negative emotions, it reincarnates itself into a physical form, with the former being an all-powerful being determined to spread happiness and love, and the latter being an all-powerful being determined to do the opposite.
So is that like his ultimate form of him being like the negative? This one right here. This is like the ultimate form of like him being negative and bad.
So sometime in the distant past,
I'm
Void,
asking.
whatever it is, must have come across some overwhelmingly negative emotions, like maybe from the YouTube comment section or something, and
Real.
reincarnated itself into a planet-destroying monster called Void.
No, some comments that I get will actually mess my day up. I'm not even lying. I'm not even lying. They will. I have gotten some comments that have messed my day up, and I hate that so much. I hate that so much.
Termina. Meanwhile, there was also a super advanced society called the Ancients.
Eye versus
Yeah,
stomach?
super original name, I know. Who were split up into 2 different factions. There were the Science-y Ancients, who created the structure for super powerful weapons, and the Magic-y Ancients, who imbued them with magic, with creations such as a clock that can grant any wish, or a
Oh,
spaceship
that's where the star wand comes from? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
them with magic, with creations such as a clock that can grant any wish, or a spaceship that can travel across time and dimensions. You can imagine that they
cool.
were pretty overpowered. Well, the Ancients eventually caught wind of Void Termina and sent 4 heroes after it.
I have a question about the clock. I have a question about the clock. Does the clock have any like real world like lore that it's inspired from? Or is it just like entirely like just born out of like Kirby something? Kirby something. Like, do you think that Sakurai saw some sort of like real life lore and was like, I'm gonna turn this idea into a character? Because it's interesting. I kind of like this clock character. I would like to know more.
who sealed it away in a
I guess Kirby
crystalline
is
prison
God.
called the Jamba Heart,
Completely original
with
as
one
far
of
as
the
you're
4
aware?
heroes being a dude named Galactonite, who was super powerful. Like, so powerful that even the ancients were afraid of him. And they could, like, bend reality to their will. So the Magic-y ancients sealed Galactonite away for all of eternity. And then the Science-y ancients were like, okay, hold on. They just sealed away Galactonite, who sealed away Void Termina, so these guys must be super duper strong. And so the entire Magic-y race of ancients were banished from their civilization, which obviously made them pretty upset. So
That's
they
not good.
started making plans to resurrect Void Termina and enact their revenge on humanity. Thousands of years later, their plan succeeds. Unfortunately, this is where Kirby steps into the picture, and killing gods is kind of his whole thing. Okay, now it's time for the lightning round. AKA, I'm too tired to draw, here's a bunch of information that might be important if you plan on playing a new Kirby game. Part 1. Where are all the characters at the current points in the timeline? Well, Magalore built an amusement park and was thus forgiven for his crimes of trying to take over the entire universe. Marx survived the nuclear explosion caused by Nova and was also forgiven for his crimes against the universe. Susie took over the Haltman Company and is probably still mechanizing planets. Galactonite keeps breaking out of his unbreakable crystal prison and having epic showdowns with Meta Knight, and I guess is now fused with a butterfly. Is this canon? I don't know. Shadow
My question is there like an updated one with Kirby in the Forgotten Land? Because shouldn't there be some like more information that we glean with the new character from Forgotten Land?
Kirby is protecting the mirror dimension, Sectonia is super dead, and her ex-boyfriend Taranza is now looking for love. Void Termina was purged of all negative emotions by Kirby and was possibly reborn as a new Kirby or Kirby-like creature. I don't know, please don't ask me about Void Termina, it's confusing and vague and it makes my head hurt, and I'm just waiting for a new game to hopefully clear all that up. The leader of the dudes who resurrected Void Termina was also forgiven for trying to sacrifice all of his daughters to a dark god, and is now having fun at the beach. Gooey is having an existential crisis. Adeline and Ribbon, I really didn't talk about.
Yeah, who are these characters? Adeline and Ribbon. I've never seen these guys in my life. Until this previous video. What does it say? Back for a new adventure, the attack artist from Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, and her pal Ribbon have returned. And with Adeline's newly improved painting skills, these two are ready to be in the mix. Interesting.
But Crystal Shards is a great game, and I support the strange gumball fairy love story. And that's it. Hopefully this video
What?
can serve as a good introduction into the Kirby series. If you enjoyed the video and would like to see more, then subscribe and leave a...
What? Do we feel like we understand Kirby better? This is literally the gameplay versus lore meme in its purest form. Yeah, the Kirby story is insane. I wasn't expecting any of that. I'm actually really shocked that there is not... I need to see, is there a Kirby... Is there a Kirby video that's been like updated post? Why is there not like a lore video since Kirby and the Forgotten Land came out? Kirby and the Forgotten Land lore. It just seems like it's like, oh, we're just gonna explain like... Oh, I guess this is it. Oh, this is it. It's the same guy that we saw earlier. Okay, I wasn't expecting... Yeah. Look up Kirby Eats a Black Hole. You also recommend looking at Wooly versus Lore videos. Wooly versus Lore? Well, this one is apparently from... Since Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Wooly versus Lore. Kirby. I want to click on this video strictly just... I'm sorry, but that's that is a brilliant thumbnail. Prepare to hi. No, we gotta watch this. Hi. That's great. Yes. Okay. Yes, we're learning about Kirby lore.
You are zero. You are a boundless, amorphous sapience, floating agelessly, surrounded on all sides by infinite oblivion. There exists a world outside the numbness of endless chaos, a world of fleeting life, meaningless in its inception, meaningless in its finality, but ultimately persistent. The
This one's so
concept of a
dramatic.
body means very little to you. A thought is all it takes to bleed a little of your own consciousness into a smaller vessel, which can carry out its own existence simultaneously as an extension of your will, subject to your will, as all things have been and should be. There is no free thought. There is only you. You are zero.
What?
The meaningless life forms grow and spread their fleeting existence from planet to planet, searching endlessly for an end to their misery. They spread to new galaxies. They die. They name the endless chaos around you the hyperzone. They die. They discover molecules of your essence and refer to it as dark matter. They die. They create elaborate reality interfacing tools. They die. They forget everything about themselves and cease to even search for purpose in their fleeting lives. They die. They are now content
Kirby's
to
so
merely
dark.
exist, then die without consequence. The longer you observe, the more this continued measure of futility appears to march on.
No, I had no
You
idea
are
it was so
zero.
deep.
With a thought, an endless rain of your living consciousness swarms the universe and introduces meaning to the meaningless, consequence to the inconsequential. You are zero. The life forms are now also zero. The only thing sacrificed in the process is free will, and nothing of importance was lost. You are a vessel of zero. You are you, but you are also zero. Traveling the universe alone for eternity and a day, your life of isolation eventually
Very pretty
happens
video.
across a planet known as Popstar. Its life forms are helpless, making choices and living lives without zero. These life forms do not know zero, so to them, you're dark matter. They appear to be happy, but that's only because they don't understand. How could they? You've decided. They must all become zero. But somewhere within the subconscious that is formed in your isolation from zero, you learn about them, and you take a form that these life forms would think highly of. An honorable warrior. Perhaps then, this isolation will end.
Dude,
But
when
are
you put it like
still
that.
Zero? You are zero. Or you were zero. But it seems like you're actually just dark matter? You can't really remember. You used to be part of something bigger, with purpose. But for some reason, those memories and feelings are gone. You find yourself quickly in the company of new friends.
I think they're telling it from the perspective of Meta Knight. I think this is when they say you are zero. I think am I understanding that correct? Are they telling it from this not from Meta Knight, but from the other Meta Knight like character, the pink and white one, right? Rick. Where and the bird. It's cool. Oh my god, I was getting cooked. I posted this short about Koo, about me finding the bird, and I was like, can somebody please pick up their bird? Because you can find this bird in Kirby Air Riders. It's like hidden somewhere in a little cave, and everybody's like, that's Koo. That's Koo. and put respect on his name. How dare you just call him some bird? I was like, oh, my bad. I didn't know. Also, look, Gooey is the darker blue. Because in Kirby Air Raiders, you can either be the regular blue Gooey or the darker blue Kirby. Or, not Kirby, Gooey. So I didn't know. Apparently the darker blue is actually another character. There's something else there? You think they're actually talking about the perspective of Zero squared? Okay, we'll see. Maybe I misunderstand.
These friends call you Gooey. It feels good to have friends. You are Gooey. But more importantly,
I was
you're
wrong.
hungry. The warrior known as Dark Matter
He said you're
concentrated
hungry.
its efforts to the central Popstar location of Dreamland. Strangely, instead of possessing all inhabitants, it only possesses the self-proclaimed king and instigates a campaign of terror by isolating the islands of Dreamland from each other by stealing their connecting rainbow bridges. Straying from the ideals of Zero, Dark Matter appeared to be out for victory by conquest instead of mind slavery.
Kirby!
It was not at all surprising that the life forms would eventually mount a resistance. Dark Matter expected as much, and would readily reveal its true form to quell the threat. But what was surprising was that the very essence of that which he stole, the rainbow drops, would come to forge a blade that could withstand and riposte his power. In this naivete, the first known case of dark matter, independent of its creator,
He is a
was
good guy,
defeated.
yeah.
One can imagine that the failure of one of Zero's vessels of consciousness in its isolated defeat would nevertheless capture the attention of the source. It would not be surprising, then, to know that the higher presence itself would turn its attention to the direction of Dreamland. At a whim, the sky is blotted out with a mass of dark matter the likes of which has never been seen. Almost all life on Popstar is relieved of free thought.
This is crazy.
Save for two individuals. One with origins mysteriously linked to Zero. The other
Where'd that image come
with
from, by the
origins
way?
mysteriously linked to long-dead things. Unaware of just how many tools of the ancients could be found
7 years ago. Okay, never mind.
waiting on this particular planet, the dark matter mass has its plans fall short, in no small part due to a confluence of events. The presence of an immune, traitorous vessel of Zero with no memory, combined with a weaponized artifact of concentrated positive energy, created the perfect antithesis to the negative force of dark matter. Feeling inexplicable pain for what must be the first time in its existence, the defeat of another dark matter vessel necessitated following it into the hyperzone itself.
Nothing could have prepared me that Gooey is so important. I would have no clue that Gooey was so critical and is such an important character. But you know what? No, it makes sense now. Because I remember during Kirby Air Riders, when we were playing in City Trials, Gooey's special move actually does look like the Void. It like has this like one little eyeball in the middle. And oh, it's crazy.
And direct confrontation with Zero.
Ah, I don't like the flashing.
Eviscerated and gutted to the core, in a fit of unfathomable rage, the bloodied, weeping eye,
Ew!
the embodiment of long suffering, rips itself out of its torn socket, casts off its old flesh, and moves in to kill the cosmic
What the-
pink thing that devours celestial bodies within its
What are we doing here? Oh my god, and people, I'm sorry.
gaping maw.
I'm sorry, people are saying,
Zero.
oh yeah, Nintendo games are for babies. Nintendo games are for babies. You guys don't know anything.
Experiences
Holy.
death. Death to being such a Zero, however, is less of a conclusion and more of an educational experience.
That's a crazier boss than like anything else, like that you could ever see in Elden Ring or anything else. Like, what the heck? They wish. It does look like that, doesn't it? That's what I thought too, but the video was made 7 years ago. So I'm kind of like 7 years ago it couldn't have been made with Gen AI. Surely not. No, there's no way. 7 years ago? No, it's not possible.
As the river of time ebbs and flows,
Yeah, these games are
breaking
marketed
course
towards
into different
kids.
forks.
Well, the thing is, I actually just recently watched a little bit about the series of unfortunate events. And I feel like this might be kind of a tangent, but something so great about a series of unfortunate events and other stories like this is that they are stories that are meant for children, but they don't shy away from serious topics because like they know that children have seen and gone through a lot in life, and that it's like you speak to their experiences and you meet them where they are. You don't dumb anything down. Yeah, sure, it's like hidden meanings, but like a lot of kids have seen stuff, you know? And I feel like having stories that aren't afraid to talk about serious things, even if it is in like an obscure way, is like pretty awesome. I do. I think it's pretty awesome.
Beings inexplicably related to the source of dark matter appear in unexpected places, at unexpected
Because
times.
also the I mean, as we've seen so far, as we've learned so far, the overall moral lessons that we gain here are, be a force of positive good in the world. Make friends. Friendship is critical in life. I think these are all very positive things.
With unexpected names.
But it is kind of crazy.
When Zero is next seen again, it is lurking in the skies of a frozen husk of the planet once called Earth. No longer turning its attentions towards planet Popstar, but instead the fairy lifeforms of similar planet Ripplestar. As good a place to start as any. Angelic, damaged, and forever weeping a tear of blood, 02 bears no ill will towards the meaningless living things. Its desire to mind-slave all
power of
life
friendship.
comes from a place of benevolent liberation. After all, it is officially described as a benevolent creature. 02 rarely presents any trouble in the cloud levels of Shiverstar. Not unlike humanity's choice to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and live by their own decisions, the inhabitants of Popstar could not have known that their great sin was mere existence outside of the mental enslavement of the endless sentient void. When the skies turn black as bubbling
That's
pitch
so crazy.
and the bleeding begins, the bulging, uncaring eye of the void will make no effort to explain its intentions. Quite simply, its presence represents a concept. You no longer have a say in being you. The flesh vessel you currently inhabit will now be piloted by the will of the void, until said worthless vessel has rotted into nothing. Your former consciousness will be vacated, reduced to the role of voiceless spectator in your own head, henceforth until your end, and in the name of Zero, it will be considered a mercy.
My guy. This guy is so dramatic. This guy is literally so dramatic. I can't. That was the most dramatic video I've ever seen. It was very well done. It was really well done. How did I don't understand. I don't understand. Okay, hold on. I need to see the one. I need to see this one. This one's about Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Looking forward to seeing me play Metroid. Metroid is another series I don't really know much about. I never played a Metroid game. I played the demo for Metroid Dread, and I actually wasn't a fan at the time. But I think if I played it now, I would like it. When I played Metroid Dread, I was like, I had never played a Metroidvania before. I didn't really like the vibes. I've always been more of like a cozy, cute kind of. I don't know. I like that kind of stuff. Okay, can't blame a girl. And so when I was playing, I was just like, meh, I don't know. It's not really for me. I feel like if I played it now, I would like it a lot more. And it's a game with a woman as a protagonist. Like, come on. Yeah, I wanna. I don't know. I'll try it one of these days. I would like to. I would like to play more Metroidvanias.
Alright, but before that, there's actually one key thing I wasn't aware of when I made my first Kirby lore video, the occasional unreliability of English localization. More specifically in the most recent games, where the localization from Japanese to English sadly led to some key changes in the text of pause screen lore, usually due to the struggle of fitting said translations into the limited space in pause screens. They'd be mostly fine in Triple Deluxe and Planet Robobot, where the most notable change in my opinion was the removal of a line in Galactonite's lore, said removal clarifying that throughout various eras, he's been continuously sealed away again and again, each time avoiding destruction. Though sadly, it's Star Allies that bore the brunt of these, where certain changes were—
I just can't. Star Allies literally is so beautiful. I want to play this game just because of how pretty it is. I just love like the art style. It's just so freaking lovely. I don't know. I'm really a fan.
Would go on to both completely change certain descriptions or alter them for the worse. Again, I'm not going to cover all of them.
This is fun though.
But
I'm glad we're doing
to touch on the
this.
ones relating to the most important parts of Kirby lore, let me first correct the part about Susie. As opposed to what the English description says, she actually isn't continuing Haltman's work of mechanizing planets. Instead, she's using their advanced technology to aid others and stop any evildoers. Always thought it was a bit weird that the game said she resumed mechanization.
Okay, that's what I said. I was like in the lore video, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would she do that? So I'm glad that there was like an addendum here to fix that. Because I was like, dude, literally, isn't she supposed to be like good? Why would she see what happened to her dad and then continue to do it?
After everything that happened. Then with Void and a certain night everyone loves, a fair amount got lost in translation. For instance, a line that got removed entirely for Void implies that it's made up of 4 core forces in the Kirby universe combined into all chaos and possibilities: Dream, Dark, Soul, and Heart. While you could take that at face value and say those are meant to be literal elements, I feel they're meant to be more abstract forces. Regardless, it definitely alludes to these forces being behind quite a few things we've seen in Kirby thus far, so I'll be referring to them as chaos from here on out. Trust me, this will be relevant later. Next, with Morphonite, its lore would sadly suffer the most from localization, and with quite a few important details being left behind. Namely, that Morphonite appeared due to Galactonite's screams of the many years spent living, which to me sounds like Morphonite showed up out of pity for the Knight. After all, it's been established that for untold eons after being sealed away, the Knight's very existence has been diminished to endless imprisonment with sporadic battles happening in between whenever someone happens to summon him. He clearly resents this too, as shown when without hesitation, Galactonite destroyed Stardream mere moments after it summoned him. So with seemingly no real escape from his eternal fate, it only makes sense that the most powerful warrior in the galaxy wishes to be freed from this horrible cycle, the butterfly granting his wish by annihilating Galactonite and absorbing his power. We're starting off heavy with this video.
Yeah, I don't understand what was just said. Like, what are you saying? There was a lot of information at once.
Then, in another bit of pause lore that got cut in localization, there's a line that reveals the butterfly is fully capable of traveling between dimensions. Considering recent events, this tidbit is more important than ever, but that'll have to wait. Translation mishaps aside, Kirby and the Forgotten Land isn't the only Kirby game to be released in the past 3 years. In the gap between Star Allies and Forgotten Land, there were 2 minor spin-off titles that both came with some pretty notable details. In Super Kirby Clash, I'd approach this game like you would many of mainline Kirby's extra modes, where despite not being canon, there's information inside that illuminates some things in the main universe. Or well, things singular in this case, because at the very end of Super Kirby Clash's campaign, Galactonite shows up. And instead of the usual shtick of his lore further emphasizing how powerful he is or how he got sealed away, this is probably the craziest information dropped about him so far. You see, rather than being called Galactonite here, this game refers to him by the all-new name of Eon Hero. An insignificant if strange change at first glance that when paired with the fact that this new Galactonite fight has him attacking you with heart spears, all but confirms that Galactonite was one of the 4 heroes that originally sealed Void Termina's Jamba Heart away. It definitely adds credence to him resenting being sealed away, as this
this guy just says stuff, and I'm like, I feel like, I don't know, it's not very, like, sometimes I get it, and sometimes I don't get it, because it doesn't feel very beginner friendly. Like, I feel like you've got to be, like, in it to be like, yep, that makes sense, dang. Like, I don't know what.
Confirms he went from saving the galaxy to being imprisoned out of fear. Though then in Kirby Fighters 2, this game for the most part doesn't have much importance. Dubious canonicity aside, the one thing worth mentioning here is we actually get to see Shadow Kirby again.
Yeah, they
Apparently
do.
taking part in this game's battles as part of some weird prank on Kirby, it's good confirmation that
say,
the mirror world is still safe. After that, I guess the masks DDD and Meta Knight used to power up could have importance down the line, but there's nothing that points to that right now. So with all that taken care of, let's get into the real meat of the video. When it comes to the lore of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, a lot has changed from how the previous entries handled lore. And I'm not just talking about how lore is now contained in gacha figures either. Like how Star Allies heavily implied that Kirby and Void are two sides of the same coin, one being born of positive energy and the other of negative energy, Forgotten Land comes in with even more implications like that. There's some hard facts here and there, don't misunderstand me, it's just the sheer amount of implications here outweigh them by a lot. For example, the fact that this game takes place in an alternate dimension to that of Kirby's universe. It's never explicitly said, but seeing how at multiple points it's shown that time there runs significantly faster than that of Kirby's dimension, it's the most reasonable explanation considering everything else we learn. As even with Kirby getting sucked in around the same time as everyone else, he clearly arrived much later than them all due to him struggling against the portals for a few extra Popstar seconds. Or the fact that despite Elflin
Can that be gleaned? I don't know. That seems kind of like a... That seems kind of like a strange thing to assume, right? Why? Just because he appeared on screen a little bit later, you're like, they're in a different dimension because... What? That, like... I don't know. That just seems like a bit of a... Like, it's not like I don't believe you. It's not that I don't believe you, but that just seems like not the best argument. Yeah. Hold on to my strawberry shortcake. I wish I had a strawberry shortcake. No, I had flan earlier, actually. I had flan. We had gotten some Cuban food on Sunday from like a local restaurant, and I could not eat the dessert after I ate, and so I had it for lunch today. It was great.
Coming back to Kirby near immediately after disappearing at the end, later he says that Coraline had to nurse him back to health after he separated the two worlds. Meaning from the perspective of anyone left on Popstar, Kirby was probably gone for barely any time at all. In turn, while I'll do my best to make everything as concise as possible, this means I will have to delve a bit more into theory territory than normal, as there's really no way to avoid it. Luckily, many of said theories do have substantial evidence, like that whole alternate dimension business. Though before that, let's start with the things we know for sure. If you notice any differences from what you saw in the game, that's because I'm referring to direct translations of the Japanese text, not what we got in the localized game, since sadly, like those mentioned before, bits and pieces were lost in translation. Long before portals opened up above Popstar and sucked its inhabitants into the Forgotten Land,
Ow,
there was a
don't hurt my
civilization
eyes.
much like our own. At the time, its inhabitants were struggling with the ever-looming crisis of overpopulation.
Clock. There was a clock spotted. Is a clock just a reference to the... What is the guy who wishes who grants a wish? What is his name? The giant clock that can grant wishes. He's cool. I like him. Nova.
Their world becoming too small for their civilization. Then, out of nowhere, came the ultimate lifeform Fecto-Elphalus, an all-powerful alien creature that's made its sole purpose to violently conquer world after world. However, against the odds, the people of that world managed to put a stop to Elphalus.
This boss was the craziest reveal. I was like, yo, what are they doing? Like, this boss was insane. They're so... I was like, I remember literally being like, oh my god, Kirby's fighting a literal god. But like now that now that I understand a little bit more, it's like, well, basically just like God Coliseum. It was basically God Coliseum.
This invasion by capturing the alien. With the crisis averted, they'd then begin to study its powers in Lab Discovera, turning its fantastical abilities into technology beyond their wildest dreams. Most importantly, replicating the method they used to get there in the first place by recreating its ability to warp anywhere, whether it be from one location to the other or even to another dimension entirely. Although while experimenting with said warp technology, Fecto-Elphalus would be split into two creatures, one holding the small amount of compassion buried within them, and the other holding their invasive malicious tendencies. Once split, the newly created Elfalin would escape Lab Discovera altogether, never to be found by the civilization again. And
What did that say on the box? What did they write on the box? What?
never to be found by
There.
the civilization again. And as if Elphalus wasn't in a bad situation before, now that they're fractured, the Eternal Capsule that served as its prison had become its life support. Because in this larval state, they physically can't survive outside the capsule without copious amounts of energy.
Thank you.
Thus, once they'd used up their invader completely and became a highly advanced technological civilization, the solution to their woes had become perfectly clear. Use their newfound warp technology to leave their cramped planet behind altogether. Their destination being pretty obvious if you've noticed certain parallels to other aspects of Kirby lore, which brings us to the next round of major implications. A bit more clear-cut compared to later ones, in Possessed Leongar's pre-fight speech, there's one line in particular that brings with it one of the biggest revelations in Kirby so far. As when he says that the Forgotten Land's inhabitants left for a land of dreams, just what other location does that sound like? That's right, the very place Kirby calls home, Dreamland. Now, to be fair, this could also mean Kirby's universe at large and not specifically Dreamland, but there's definitely evidence that these people were here at some point, because after abandoning both their planet and dimension, this civilization would go on to become the enigmatic ancients we've come to know all too well from many years worth of lore. More specifically, the scientific ancients, as the magical ones were probably already in this universe when they arrived. Need more proof? Just look at all the technology associated with the scientific ancients. Many probably made with the magical ancients during their period of friendship. There's the Lore Starcutter for one, which specializes in interdimensional travel. Ships like it most likely served to take the scientific ancients to Kirby's dimension in the first place. And who can forget the Clockwork Stars? Alongside it being shown that many of the wishes they grant involve the use of opening portals to other worlds or dimensions, don't their cores look like a certain someone? It may just be me, but the shape of Fecto Forgo's head in that capsule looks a bit too similar to the cores of Clockwork Stars to be a coincidence. This means that with this major reveal of the scientific ancients' origins, we now know Halcandra wasn't their homeworld. It was one of possibly many places they called home after leaving their original dimension. Alongside Halcandra, even Shiverstar could have been their home for some time. The abandoned civilization on that planet does bear many striking similarities to what we've seen in Forgotten Land. However, as the world could just be the Kirby Dimensions version of the ancients' old home, there's an equal chance its inhabitants were entirely separate. It'd be pretty funny if they recreated their original planet only to screw it up all over again. But I'll stop there to refrain from sprinkling in too many crazy headcanons. Back in the Forgotten Lands dimension.
You know what's crazy is that this is the one Kirby game that I've played, and somehow they've still managed to, like, I don't know, I'm confused.
Fecto Forgo remained confined for eons. So long, in fact, that the fauna left behind on the world would eventually evolve to a point
Like,
of
is that the
intelligence.
move?
Using this to their advantage, Fecto Forgo would slowly but surely spread its will over the planet from within their psychic dream dimension. While gradually gaining influence over all life on the planet, they'd managed to directly take control of a prominent animal named Leon when he discovered Fecto Forgo. Then, using Leon's famous status among the peaceful animals of the world to rally them under the plots of Forgo, Leon would become Leongar and the Beast Pack was formed. Through Leongar, this is when the Beast Pack would begin searching the planet all over for Elfalin, along with gathering food and the recently transported residents of Popstar to provide the energy Fecto Forgo needed to exist outside the capsule. Which finally is where the events of Kirby and the Forgotten Land actually start. Since while Fecto Forgo still had the power to open up portals between dimensions, the fractured state significantly destabilized the power, leading to portals seemingly opening up at random
fun. I
like
like
they did in
learning.
the beginning of the game. In the mere moments that Kirby struggled against the pull of the portals, Elfilin and the Waddle Dees would establish their village far away from the beast packs.
Just keep in mind, I'm not going to understand everything about Kirby lore just from today. This is just the beginnings. This is just the stepping stones. So then when we do play Kirby Air Riders and there's a story mode in Kirby Air Riders, things will hopefully hit a little bit differently. More so than just like, oh, Kirby's cute. I like those characters. Oh, that's cool. Like, more so than just like the story being interesting at face value. I'm hoping that we'll find it more interesting when we actually do play it.
Usual operations, Meta Knight would take to defending them, all the while resisting Forgo's influence, and DDD would, well, fail at resisting to say the least. Seriously, this has to be the most extensive backstory to the events of a Kirby game yet. Don't worry, there's still more to cover. Jumping ahead to after Fecto Elfilis's initial defeat at the hands of Kirby and Elfilin, merely destroying the Ultimate Lifeform's corporeal body wasn't enough to fully defeat it. Now existing solely as an incorporeal entity sustained by their own incredible psychic powers, Forgo retreated to their dream dimension. There, they'd begin to once again plan their return, despite being in an even weaker state than before. The only real advantage to be had being the fact that they could use Leon's body as their own. So getting rid of Leon's soul and smashing it to pieces for good measure, Forgo began to create an army of stronger doppelgangers from the residual psychic energy left over from Forgo influencing the entire planet, which sets the stage for the real important thing coming up, where all the backstory surrounding the ancient—
Sorry, I'm distracted because can you guys hear the music in the background? I'm telling you, Kirby music is some of the best music in video game history. Kirby music is just like, it's too good. And like when I was putting together this video that I put out today, again, please go check out my video after this stream. I was just like, oh my god, why is Kirby music so freaking good? It's too good.
Elfilis was pretty significant. Equally so is the second appearance of Morpho Knight. Unlike its introduction in the What If mode of Star Allies, this marks its first appearance in the canon timeline. Now this is incredibly monumental for several reasons. Not only is this the first time ever that a fight originating in Kirby's What If scenarios made the transition over to being 100% canon, it also raises even more questions about Morpho Knight itself. For one, while how—
I probably won't watch anything about Metroid today. Maybe we can like, cause the thing is I'm not 100% positive if I'll be playing Metroid Prime. I want to play Metroid Prime. I just haven't like fully 100% committed to whether or not we'll play it. But if we do play it, we can have like a stream like this beforehand to watch some lore to like learn about Metroid. So then when we play it, it would like probably hit harder. Because the thing is, I usually like to go into games like blind, but it's like, I think it's okay to learn about the lore before you play it. It's not like I'm learning spoilers for the game. There's no spoilers in the game. I don't like spoilers, but I'm okay like learning a little bit of backstory.
was definitely alluding to Morpho Knight eventually crossing over into the canon universe before, I did not expect it to happen so soon. It's still an incredibly mysterious entity, but we do still learn some interesting details. Namely, its appearance right before Fecto Forgo's soul was about to fight Kirby reinforces Morpho Knight's nature of reaping all-powerful—
No, I don't have a Discord server.
characters that have lived unnaturally long. As much like Galactonite before it, Fecto Forgo has also been trapped for an unimaginable amount of time, only surviving due to its sheer power. But it could also be as simple as Morpho Knight absorbing him solely due to his power, like the gacha lore states. When it comes to Morpho Knight this time, it's actually what happens after you fight him that brings in a lot of very important illusions. Like how when you beat him, rather than only dissipating back into butterflies, Fecto Forgo manages to escape. And before we get to all of what comes next, this confirms a pretty massive detail. You see, when Morpho Knight was first defeated in Star Allies, there was no such animation for Galactonite escaping, which leads me to believe that all this time, Morpho Knight still holds Galactonite within them. In a weird roundabout way, this means Galactonite's entered the canon universe too. Now this is stepping a bit into theory territory here, but all the signs point to this. After all, with it being shown that Morpho Knight still has many of Galactonite's attacks, this makes it incredibly likely that the supposed strongest warrior in the galaxy could be inches away from making its first canon appearance. We'll just have to see what awaits us with what's sure to be plenty of future Morpho Knight fights.
So Morpho Knight is truly the strongest. The strongest. They're even stronger than like this version. The like butterfly version, correct?
On a side note, I do wonder if, like Morphonite, there's only one Galactonite that can be summoned from across dimensions. Because if that isn't the case, there could now be two Galactonites in Kirby, the one absorbed by Morphonite and the as of yet unseen one in the canon universe. But that's a headache for another day. Going back to Fecto Elphalus's last shot at revenge, we're met with this game's soul boss equivalent, Chaos Elphalus. Having pulled the reverse Morphonite and taken some energy from it for a change, the simple fact that it's now called Chaos Elphalus hints at Morphonite's very origin. Again, stepping a bit back into crackpot.
I don't remember fighting that. Did I fight that, guys? I don't remember that. I don't remember that one.
And taken some energy from it for a change, the simple fact that it's now called Chaos Elphalus hints at Morphonite's very origin. Again, stepping a bit back into crackpot theories here, remember all that stuff about Chaos from earlier? Alongside its components consisting of things that are all pretty important in Kirby, it's said to be the very origin of Void itself. Well, considering that Chaos Elphalus only received the Chaos part of its name after taking some of Morphonite's power, that leads me to believe that Morphonite is either linked or straight up comes from this mysterious all-encompassing force. Like many soul bosses, Chaos Elphalus makes use of various attacks we've seen past soul fights utilize. For a long time, I always thought it was just some fan service on Hal's part, nothing more. However, seeing that it only received set attacks after taking on the power of Chaos, that leads me to believe that every soul fight until now has had some sort of connection to Chaos. After all, one of the things stated to make up Chaos in the first place is Soul. As it stands, we don't have enough puzzle pieces here to fully predict what this entails, but I'm certain that this is building up to something unbelievably immense. So after putting Elphalus's eons of struggling to an end, Kirby's power of miracles allowed the entity one last chance at rebirth. Thus, with Elphalus willingly rejoining with Elphalin to become whole for good, that just about wraps up all the new lore there is. As minor as it is, during the final battle, Elphalus does share one attack with another boss before the whole chaos thing happens. Just like Void Terminus' third phase, he also dives toward you, dragging a weapon across the ground. Not to mention, in Elphalus's theme, there's a portion that features a very similar organ progression to that of Void Terminus.
This looks like the legendary machine. I really love that machine in Kirby Air Raiders. This does. It looks like the... It's not exactly, but the wings specifically. Looks like the legendary machine. Very cool.
Third phase too. You could easily chalk the two up to coincidence, but I felt it was at least worth mentioning here at the end. It is interesting how, in spite of how much of the Forgotten Land is shown, we never get a glimpse of what the scientific ancients might have looked like. Taking context clues and the cardboard cutout in Wandaria into consideration, I think it's safe to say they were humans, or something resembling them at least. Adeline's got some splaining to do. So there you have it, another video of me.
What are you talking about? Adeline's got some explaining to do. What on earth does Adeline have to do with literally anything? I swear, people are just like mentioning this character. I have not seen this character at all. They have not shown up in the games. They haven't really showed up in the story even. They were like mentioned once or twice, and I don't understand them.
Incessantly rambling about Kirby lore. Just about finished that strawberry shortcake from last time, so how about a Kirby burger?
Me when I fall for it. My bad.
Real quick before I thank my patrons, as I'm sure a good number of you
Alright, okay, interesting. I had fun. I hope you guys did as well. I'm gonna save this one. I think in the future, I would like to maybe try to see if I can figure out how to play the original Kirby Air Ride before Kirby Air Riders drops. But I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be a good time. Also, if you guys could let me know what you guys think we should do before the release of that game, please let me know. Because we have a couple, I feel like there's a couple things happening. We're basically waiting for Kirby Air Riders to come out. We're also waiting for Constance to come out, which comes out around the same time as Kirby Air Riders in about like 10 days or so. Less than that, actually. In about a week. So if you guys have any suggestions on what we should do, that could be like achievable, because I was really debating what I wanted to do today. I thought about playing Pikmin 2. I also thought about playing Peak. And I was just like, no, I'm like too Kirby brained right now. I just can't. So if you guys have, and I also, we have to get the shiny charm. Well, I would like to get the shiny charm in Pokemon Z through A, but I'm like, psh, oh no, it's so painful. It's just like mind numbing. I'm like, I don't even know if it's fun to watch. I'm sure people find it cozy, but to some degree, I'm like, oh my lord, there's just a lot of battles. So let me know what you guys would like to see. And if you guys could check out my video that I put out today, go send it some love, comment on it. Here, I'll put the link to it in chat. And yeah, I will see you all on the next one, friends. Thank you so much for being here. This video is crazy. I had fun learning about Kirby lore. I hope that you guys did as well. And I will see you all on the next one, friends. Go check out my new video. Bye.